Welcome everyone. I would just like to share some things I found on this map called the Fra Mauro map. Um, and let me give you some information that I found here. It was the Fra Mauro map is a map of the world made around 1450 by the Italian Venetian cartographer Fra Mauro, which is considered the greatest memorial of medieval cartography. This is from the official Wiki Indoctrination page. Give us a basics layout here. It is a circular planisphere drawn on parchment and set in a wooden frame that measures over 2 by 2 meters, including Asia, the Indian Ocean, Africa, Europe, and the Atlantic. It is oriented with south at the top. The map is usually on display in the Biblioteca Nazionale Marciana in Venice, Italy. Probably butchered that. That's okay. The Fra Mauro world map is a major cartographical work. It took several years to complete and was very expensive to produce. The map contains hundreds of detailed illustrations and more than 3,000 descriptive text. It was the most detailed and accurate representation of the world that had been produced up until that time. As such, the Fra Mauro map is considered one of the most important works in the history of cartography. According to Jerry Broughton, it marked the beginning of the end of early medieval Mappae Mundi that reached biblical geographical teaching. It placed accuracy ahead of religious and traditional beliefs, breaking with tradition, for example, not by placing Jerusalem at the center of the world and showing a physical location for the biblical paradise. The maker of the map, Fra Mauro, was a Camaldolese monk from the island of Murano near Venice. He was employed as an accountant and professional cartographer. The map was made for the rulers of Venice and Portugal, the two main seafaring nations at the time. Now, I'm going to show you this right here. As you can see here, we have the Fra Mauro map on the left and the official satellite Earth indoctrination picture on the right. And I would like to draw your attention to see that over here on the map we have Spain and Italy and England and Ireland in this area. And if you notice over here, Spain, Italy, England, and Ireland. And then also would like to draw your attention to the Black Sea, which is here, and the Black Sea, which is here. And they will be important to what I'm going to show you next. Alrighty, I was looking around at this map recently, and I noticed something I thought was pretty interesting about it, and I just wanted to share it with you. And when I went to go find high resolution imagery, it was a little bit difficult. There was a lot of versions of it online, and I was looking for videos that showed it, and anyways, I finally found this wonderful web page that is dedicated to this map, and I'll leave the link in the description. And this web page is fascinating. Anything you want to know about this map, it's going to have it on it pretty much. And I'm going to share a few things with you on here, and then you can go and do your own searching and researching and looking, because there's way too much information for me to go through it. But in my process of looking for more information on this map, I did run across that Art of Dino channel and Autodidactic Campbell did videos on this map several years ago, it looks like. And so shout out to both of them. And it looked like at the time, from what I can tell, that they didn't have a very good copy of this map, And so I wanted to share this with you all so you all could get deeper into it. This is the highest resolution I think you're going to find on this map, and I think you're going to be amazed. So shout out to those two guys for showing what they showed, and go check out their channels and their videos. And I'm going to show you what I found, and you can go and do your own research from there. And so here's what we got. What on this web page, the first thing under this that you'll find on section 2 here, you got introduction, then section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you got section 2 right here. The first one is explore. That is just the map, and you can make it full screen here. I'm not going to do that right this second because it will stop the record. So I'm going to just zoom in on this screen, and you will see how good the resolution is. It is phenomenal. You can really get in there. That's as close as I can get. Now, one thing I would like to point out is that if you take the image and turn it upside down, okay, which makes the south-north and the north-south kind of thing. So what I want to draw your attention to, and this is what caught my attention about this map in particular, is you have Spain here, Italy here, England and Ireland, possibly Iceland over here, and then the Black Sea. But what caught my attention is this right here. And I know that's upside down, so I'm going to flip it back over, and you got Tartaria. Now, what is interesting about this is if you switch it over, is the location. If you look at the Black Sea right here, and you go straight up, it's showing Tartaria right here, right above the Black Sea. Now that to me is very interesting. Okay, you go straight up and you would have Moscow, okay, up here. Now what is interesting to me about that is if you go and you look at Google Earth, you've got Spain and Italy, United Kingdom, Ireland, Iceland over there. But there's the Black Sea. Now, if you zoom in, you see Black Sea. Now, if you go and you look above, look at this area in particular right here where it's got this funky little area here where there's kind of a sea within the sea kind of thing. Over here, and you go into the map. Okay, this is your Black Sea. There's the same thing right there. You get that little piece sticking out, that little peninsula, and that little kind of sea within a sea right there. You see that? And you notice you got Tartaria right here and right here written on the map twice. So that's basically saying right here and right here. Okay? Now what's interesting to me about this, and this is the point that I want to make, is that you go straight up from there and you got Moscow here. But kind of traditionally from our research, we're always kind of looking at this area over here as being Tartaria. If you remember, this upper kind of Siberia-ish area. This is kind of where we've kind of always thought, the Tartaria was. But what's interesting about this is this map, to me, is showing Tartaria right above. It's not showing the Siberia would be kind of this area. So that's very interesting to me. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. So let's I want to share a video with you next.
The world map by Fra Mauro reflects a vision of the world that was coming into focus in one of the most flourishing commercial and cultural centers in Europe, the Republic of Venice. Celebrated by Giovanni Battista Ramuzio in the mid-16th century as one of the wonders of Venice, Fra Mauro's world map can be counted among the most visionary cosmographical works of all time. It was created during the mid-15th century at the monastery of San Michele in Isola, where it remained for 3 centuries, displayed first in the church, then in the monastery's library, up until the Napoleonic era. When the religious orders were suppressed in 1810, the map was transferred to Venice, first to the San Marco Library, then to the Ducal Palace, and then once again to the library, now called the Biblioteca Nazionale Marciana, where it is preserved today. Composed as a 196-centimeter diameter circle, or 77 inches, contained within a square frame measuring 223 centimeters on each side, or 87.7 inches, the world map integrates Ptolemy's geography and marine charts with thousands of descriptive texts and hundreds of images. The inscriptions derive from both written and oral sources, including ancient authorities such as Ptolemy and Pliny, medieval scholars such as Campano da Novara, Albert the Great, and Thomas Aquinas, 14th century travelers like Marco Polo and Odorico da Pordenone, contemporary explorers such as Niccolò de Conti and Pietro Querini, Ethiopian monks who had come to visit Venice, and other anonymous witnesses who furnished Mauro with detailed information on the major trade routes in the Indian Ocean and early Portuguese navigation in the Atlantic. The iconographic repertoire is extremely rich: cities, castles, temples, funerary monuments, roads, borders, ships, and shipwrecks. In the corners there are also 3 representations of the celestial world, and even a gorgeous Garden of Eden illuminated by Leonardo Bellini. Far different from the Christian symbolic portrayals common in medieval maps, Fra Mauro's world map represents a cartographic space centered especially on mankind, on human commerce and travel, but including also the era's most ambitious dreams. To provide a larger audience with the opportunity to unlock the contents and graphic symbols of such an extraordinary and visionary cartographic object, this digital edition has been created following the model of the equally innovative and complex world map by Martin Waldseemüller.
All right, another thing I'd like to share is under section 2, we can explore the map, and this map is, this webpage is amazing. Now, what you'll see here is on the left, you'll have geographic space, I believe it is, and then cartouches, and you'll see that the map is now blue, and when I go over a certain section it turns red. Now, what is fun, I got a beagle in my face. Beagle, get out of my face. Trying to talk here. Okay, if you zoom in, okay, we can see that it's on these specific pieces of writing. Now, what is really, really cool about this map, about this web page, is that it gives the Venetian dialect that it was written in and the English translation. So you can read the map for yourself and do your own research. Now, I would like to point out a few things that I find interesting about the map. Let me get my bearings. The way I get my bearings is I find Spain and Italy, and then I can find the Black Sea. When I do that, I can easily find Tartaria. Now, when you click on Tartaria, okay, it says Tartaria, and then under the map, what I was hoping, and I think a lot of other people were hoping, is when you were to read this, that it would talk about Tartaria. And from what I can tell you, I've read through this and it does not. talk about Tartaria. You click on the other one, and the same thing. Excuse me. And there is, it just doesn't talk about Tartaria. You can go and read this for yourself. Link will be in the description for the link for this website. So unfortunately, there is no information about Tartaria, which is disappointing. No matter where you click. Now there might be other areas that talk about Tartaria on this map, or Tartars. I do not know. I have not gone through the entire map. Now, another thing that I think was very interesting was this right here. This one right here. Artadino was talking about this in his video when he did talk about this map. Now, Dino's way of translating when he did this was to copy this section here, this Venetian dialect, and paste the entire thing into Google Translate. Now, from my experience with doing that, is that when you paste over a short period, a short sentence, the Google Translate will start getting kind of crazy, and it will not give you a good translation. So it's better, in my opinion, and from my experience, to translate sentence by sentence, and almost a portion of the sentence at a time. I found I get better translations, but I understand why he did it that way, because there's so much here to do. But that being said, now we have English translation, and you can read it. Now, what I'd like to point out about this, because I thought this was interesting when he was talking about it, but I want to reread this and give the translation that is given here. I want to point out what this section here is talking about is this area here. And it's Chensei, and if you'll notice, it's this humongous city, absolutely humongous. Now, I thought this was interesting too. Noble building, and look how big that thing is. You got to wonder what that thing is. But this thing is over. If you look at if you kind of draw a line, a straight line from going across the bottom of Spain here, across the bottom of Italy, and draw a straight line over to this area, you end up kind of in China. Now this, not that, this is Japan. I have learned that. That is Japan right there. So this is China today. Now, I don't know what city this was, but I wanted to read this because I thought this was very interesting. The Chinese Ocean, okay, that's that listing right there. I don't know what, that must be a smaller city. But I wanted to read this because the description of this is very interesting. I just have to wonder what city this was, because I don't think we know, or it's been changed, or I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it's very interesting. I think Artadino found it very interesting, and I just want to reread. This is I think a better translation of the text here. So let's just, I'm going to go ahead and read this. This very noble city called Chensei stands in a lake like Venice, which is interesting, and has a circumference of 100 miles. A city of 100 miles. That is humongous. A large population, very large suburbs, and 12 main gateways. I mean, that thing's got to be huge. 8 miles outside these are other cities as big as Venice. That's incredible. And there are 12,000 bridges and 14,000 horse. And in the middle of this city, there is a lake with a circumference of 30 miles, within which there are very large palaces, where those that live there hold their feasts. In each house there are 12 families, which are calculated as one hearth. These hearths are total 90 tomen, and each tomen includes 10,000 hearths, which makes 900,000 hearths. And here all branches of knowledge are studied, and there are magnificent things, order and abundance in all trades and crafts. And that is incredible. What freaking city is that? What city are they talking about? Because I don't know what city that is. So if anybody knows what city that is, I'd be interested to know that. Let's see. What else did I notice interesting about this map? There is stuff like this I think is interesting. You see these a lot in the seems like the ocean areas. And I could be wrong, but to me that looks like a patch where they would put a piece of parchment over and glue it over the map to cover up a mistake or cover something up. And it makes me wonder, because you see these quite often, and what else would be the point of doing a square patch? And you see these patches quite often if you look closely. And it's just something I thought was interesting. Another thing, I love how they're using the what I call the flat earth asterisk, but this symbol, it's known in the Roman, to the Romans as the Roman lattice. It's also the symbol for aether. It's also the original symbol for Anu, the first sun god, which is where we get the sun god myths. Let's see, what else did I want to say? There are just cities everywhere. So let me go and let me give you a different view of this. Okay, this is the map by itself, and this is where you can really get in there and look at the imagery very close. There are sections where you can also get the translations of these parts. Anything on this map you can get the translation for on this website. But I just wanted to kind of go around and give you a closer look of what's on this map. There's not a great way to do this, so I'm going to kind of go through it just a little slowly and let you kind of peek at it. You have to, it kind of comes into focus as you go. But one thing is amazing to me is all the castles and the cities that are shown on this map. And it just there must have been a major reset. They really did take out a lot of places. We don't know what was here. I think the castles are from this age. And there's also a lot of information talking about the little icons here, the boat, the ships and things. But this map is beautiful. It's amazing, the detail. But there is so much going on here. I'm just giving you a general look at the map. And you can go on the website and you can look at it yourself and do your own research, and see what you find that is helpful. But what I'm mainly doing here is I wanted to share this resource with you all, because I know you like maps and you love maps with Tartaria on it, which, so do I. But this map is, when you get a map like this, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to find high resolution imagery of those maps. They are very difficult to digitize. And so what they have to do is they have to take multiple images of them and then piece together the imagery to create these maps. So this isn't one image. It's quite a few images put together. But just look at that detail right there. It's just so intricate. I can't even imagine having to do something like this. But you can get the translations for all this stuff on this website. And anything written on here you can get a translation for. Look at that chain of islands there. Wonder what that thing is. That's pretty cool. Look at all these big fish. You have to wonder, are those really, monstrous sized fishes? Like I said, I'm just giving you a general look at this. So you can get an idea. Let me go look through the middle a little bit. Just amazing. I remember seeing that the old man in the mountain in Iran's castle is on here somewhere, which is, an interesting historical figure. If you hadn't run across him, that's an interesting feature right there. I don't know what that is. But there are just castles everywhere. So I don't know, I think it's very interesting that Tartaria is shown where it's shown. That's cool right there. Look how it's got like a tunnel entrance to this castle. But very, very cool. These things right here remind me of monstrances, Catholic monstrances. I've done a video on that. Something I found a while back. And I think this gives you a good idea. I think that's Russia. Rossi. Anyways, there's Tartaria. They don't show like anything specifically being this is the Tartarian city. It's like, but I think it's really interesting that they wrote it twice. They wrote it in two different colored letters. You got gold lettering here and red and black here, or red and blue, excuse me. So it's two different letters. And then, we've seen flags where you had the greater and the, what is it, the greater and the lesser Tartaria? So maybe there was two different factions of this of Tartaria. I don't know. But there's definitely, you know, something to this Tartaria thing. Um, why would you put it on this map and then not have any information about it? Why would it be the center, almost the center of the map, and there's no information? Like, why is, look how big it's written. You know, it's written as big as the other large countries. So why is that? There's a reason. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh, Tartaria is unimportant. Oh, it's just you know, an area. It was just a nomadic tribe. Bullshit. Bullshit. They've hidden it from us. Now, did Tartarians build, you know, all the structures of the world? You know, I don't think so. I think there were many cultures, many civilizations that have been hidden from us. I think that's just one. I mean, just for example, clearly the Moors were in America. That they were, you know, America was Moorish, and they were all over. And now, does that mean they, you know, ran the whole, you know, thing? You know, all of America? No, I don't think so. I think they were one, you know, part of it. And I think it's quite possible that the Tartarians were in America as well. I think they were worldwide, just like America, you know, has bases worldwide. I think Tartaria, you know, the Tartarians had, you know, locations worldwide. Why not? You know, why not? But were the Tartarians everything? No, I don't think they were. I think that in the beginning of this Tartaria research, I think um, the what happened is the Mudflood and the and Tartaria were kind of came to light. They came to the surface at the same time, and they got meshed together, and it was kind of like, okay, well, we got this weird anomaly of Mudflood, and then we've got this weird anomaly of this hidden civilization, you know, and they put two and two together, which makes sense that they did why they did that. But then they ran with it, and now it's become this crazy TikTok thing. I mean, you know, you got the you know, people like the Bully Slayer. I've got your ass now. You know, and you know, it's all bullshit. You know, it's just they're just grifters that are, you know, grifting off this idea of Tartaria being everything, which I think is bullshit. And then you got, you know, people like the what is it, the Armored Skeptic recently coming out with a video, and they jump on the bandwagon of saying, look, they're saying Tartaria is everything. And that's, you know, no, that's the dumbass TikTok people that are doing that. It's not the people that are really researching. And so if you really want to talk shit, you know, get in there and talk to people that are actually looking into this hidden history, and ignore the TikTokers. They're just out there making money. And you know what? Hey, you know, if those TikTokers are driving people to look further into Tartaria, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to find out that you know, the Tartarian TikTokers are idiots and they're bullshitting, or they're going to look deeper into Tartaria and they're going to find out, wait, there is a hidden civilization, and there is something to this Mudflood thing, and we're going to have more people coming to the community, and then we're going to have more researchers coming out of that, and it's going to build, and it's going to build, and it's going to build. So I hope that helps, and I will leave the description in the link to this website in the description, and you can go and do your own damn research. Love, Biggs.
Say woof again! Say woof again!
I've got one that can see.
This is my kung fu, and it is strong.
See you later.